A question I get asked often is, how do I know it's time to heal? How do I know it's time for me to actually work on some stuff? And so I want to give you a few tips on what you can look for to let you know that it's time to actually heal through some things and move on. Before I go into those tips, I want to first explain to you what happens when we don't allow ourselves to finish the release of emotion in any given experience. When we don't allow ourselves the full release of emotion in any given experience, we can bump into trauma responses. And sometimes you will hear it in culture today called triggers. These things triggered you, etc., etc. But in actuality, what's happening is your body is not getting the chance to finish the cycle of emotion for that given experience. Let me give you an example. Let's say when you were a child, you were not allowed to express how you felt. You grew up in a time where children were seen and not heard, and they only did what they were told. So you never got a chance to practice using your voice until you became an adult and could really act out even when you shouldn't. What happens in those moments where you respond in a way that you shouldn't is you are expressing the full body of your emotions that did not get a chance to express itself way back when you were a child. That's how that plays out in real time. So when you find yourself in a situation where you may have overreacted or you got lost in the emotion of whatever made you feel an offense, whatever made you feel a way, you can know it's time to start working on healing because you didn't finish processing that emotion. When you process emotion, you want to give yourself 20 seconds to feel it all the way through. And in that 20 seconds, you might go through feeling super, super, super angry, maybe even a little bit of self-sabotage. You start downing yourself. You start picking on yourself and shaming yourself, telling yourself why you shouldn't feel X way. And all the way until you get to the place where now you're back to your normalized state. When we don't get a chance to fully express that and it gets stuck, and you start getting angry, going back to that child you were told, hey, cut that noise out, shut it up, shut it down, be quiet, go collect yourself quickly, swiftly. I don't want to hear the noise. This is the response of your parent. I don't want to hear that noise. Be quiet. Then it stops. It doesn't get to finish its cycle. And when it stops, you find yourself in an either frozen state. This is a trauma response where you freeze and you're like, oh my gosh, and then you start numbing out. Or you freeze and you don't say anything. This is how it kind of can play out in your adult years. You freeze, you don't say anything, you're stuck. Now you feel something, but you're so numb because you're used to stopping your emotion from flowing all the way through that cycle that you freeze. Or you fawn, where you become what you think your environment wants you to become. You start to act like what you think they want you to do. So as a child, that might play out when you're told, shut that noise up. Immediately you wipe tears. Immediately. Even though you're not finished being sad or mad or upset. You immediately wipe tears. Immediately you no longer show the expression of feeling whatever it is that you felt when you stopped processing the emotion. There's freeze spawn or you flight. Now, flight doesn't just look like escaping the situation in terms of physical movement, you leave. Because when you're a child and you flight, it doesn't necessarily mean that you left the room. Because in that dynamic, in that family environment, you might not have been able to just leave the room. You told to leave when they told you to leave. You couldn't just walk out. So flight can also be you showing up and you disappear in your mind. Like you find yourself in a space where you're in imaginary land because you're trying to get away from the current moment that didn't allow you to process it. And so you look to escape. So you start dreaming up other things. You start imagining things. You start wishing yourself somewhere else. You're on a beach somewhere. You're checking out. Okay? Flight. That was an example of flight. Fawn, where you become what you think your environment wants you to become. Freeze, where you totally numb out. Where you dropped here, and because you couldn't finish the process of emotion, you start beating yourself up. You should have did better. You should have responded differently. This is how it shows up in your adult years. You need to be doing different, and because you need to be doing different, you didn't do it, you're terrible. These are the messages that get sent to you when you get into a trauma response. So in that fight response, as a kid, you may have said, I ain't taking that from no one ever again. And when people get you the slightest bit of emotion, what do? You run it off. Whether it is you got lots to say and you got the best comebacks and you're going to make sure you shut it down and got the last word and all of the things that make you feel empowered. That fight response, you felt like you lost power by not being able to finish processing that emotion. So you're going to get it back on the flip end by making sure to fight everything that's coming up to you. May not even be coming up against you, but it's coming to you. And your response then is, oh, I'm ready, because I'm not going to be that little girl or that little guy that got walked all over, that didn't get a chance to say what they felt. And they could have been right. You could have been 1,000,000% right in you sharing whatever it was you could have shared at whatever age that was, that emotion got trapped at. So you fight your way through life. Next one I want to mention is called fine. Kind of like being in denial, where you say, I'm good, I'm fine. I don't want to talk about it, is what you mean. I feel ignored is what you want to say. And I want to use my voice is what you want to do. In that space where you didn't get a chance to finish that trauma as a child, processing that emotion, not necessarily the trauma, processing that emotion as a child, as an adult, you adopt this fine trauma response where you don't share, you don't expose, because what you've learned in order to survive, what you learned is that you cannot share. It is not good to share how you really feel. So you become a finer. Fine, everything's fine, I'm good, don't worry about it. And you push off being in a place of vulnerability because you've learned that it is unsafe to show that side of you. You deny it, you avoid it, you push it away. And the other one is kind of dangerous, where you are flopping. And that's literally where you collapse into yourself, where there's a physical presence of the trauma response, where your blood pressure goes down and your body, you get into a faint state and flop and faint. But it's important to know that these are the trauma responses: fight, flight, fawn, freeze, flop, and fine. These are the trauma responses you want to watch out for. If you see any of those in any aspect of your life, then this could be the way that your mind and your body and your spirit is telling you it needs some healing. It wants some healing. And when you get that signal, when you get that tap on your shoulder, because these trauma responses are showing up in your life, you want to begin your healing journey with just a quick breathing exercise. Just take time to breathe. In the moment that you recognize, I am giving a traumatic response to this situation, whether it warrants it or not, we're not here to judge that or decide that. We're just in the moment of recognizing that it exists. And we do that, then we can identify, I think I need to slow down. Let me slow my whole world down. Slow down. Take a moment to pause and just breathe. And when you breathe, you're going to breathe in through your nose and exhale through your mouth. Don't inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. You're going to escalate your nervous system and not bring it down to where you can actually think. Before any emotion can get addressed or processed, you have to bring yourself down to a state where you can understand. And you can do that easily through breath right on your own. Matter of fact, why don't we do a quick breathing together? All right? Cool. When we breathe together, we're going to take a deep breath in through our nose and out through our mouth. We're going to do it on a count of 3, inhale, do it on a count of 3, exhale. And if you're exhaling, the longer you hold your exhale, the longer you release and exhale, the quicker your body gets into a relaxed state. All right, let's give it a try together. Deep breath in through your nose. Fill up your lungs, hold it, hold it, hold it, and exhale. All the way down. And if your body in that practice wants to make a sound, it's okay, let it. Let's do one more breath. Deep breath through your nose. Fill up your lungs, let your belly poke out, and exhale. All the way down. Let your shoulders drop. Feel them come back to a grounded place. And you're here. You're ready. I hope this helped you. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care and God bless.